Hello students, this is Dr. Komal Tahilyani and I am here again with next topic of data analytics first unit. In our previous lecture, we saw basic introduction of data analytics and how it would be useful for our future prospects, for analyzing our data and for grooming our business. In today's lecture, we would be focusing on descriptive statistics. In this particular lecture, we would be discussing about different types of statistics and how they are useful and what is basically the output of statistics. So let's move ahead with the basic type of statistics, which is descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics uses the data to provide description of the population, either numeric calculations, graphs or table. So what descriptive statistics is? Descriptive statistics basically uses the data for describing any population. Descriptive statistics mainly focus on certain characteristics of data. It is basically, we can say, it provides a graphical summary of the data. Whatever the summary is provided to us, it will provide a graphical summary of the data. Now with this example, it would be more clear to you. Suppose we want to study the height of students of a classroom, right? For example, if I want to study if I am having 30 students in my classroom and I need to study the height of these students by using descriptive statistics. So I need to record the height of every person of the class, and I need to categorize it as maximum, minimum and average height. So this is what we basically do in case of descriptive statistics. Considering the second example, suppose we need to manufacture t-shirts of all 30 students present in my class or in a batch. Then what we need to do, if we need to describe it by using descriptive statistics, we may take measurements of all the 30 students and then decide measurements as maximum, minimum and average value. That is, what is the maximum size of the student, what is the minimum size of what will be the minimum size of the t-shirt, and what is the average size, right? The next type of statistics is inferential statistics. Inferential statistics generalizes large data sets and applies probability to draw a conclusion. So whatever conclusion we need to draw, we make it on the basis of probability. Right? It makes predictions about a population based on a sample of data taken from a population. So what inferential statistics is basically doing? It is basically making the predictions, right? Predictions about whom it is making predictions? Naturally about population, because we are performing our task on a population. So whatever the population we have or the sample of data we have, we are making predictions on that, right? So basically whenever we are making prediction, what we are going to do, we have a large population, we can't do our predictions on large amount of population, on the whole population. We need to retrieve or we need to extract sample from the population, and on that sample we need to predict something, or we need to make conclusion whatever we are doing. After prediction we will conclude with some results, right? So whatever the results we are getting from the sample, that results has to be again given back or returned back to the population. Now the example would be like the same example. If I want to categorize or if I want to measure the height of 30 students in my classroom, then I can categorize them as tall, medium and small. So basically in this particular inferential statistics, we are first we are extracting a sample from the population, which we normally do, and on this particular sample we are making predictions. Okay. So on the predictions, on the criteria of prediction, ultimately we are getting the conclusions. Coming on to the measures in descriptive statistics, which is a very important topic whenever we study statistics, or you might have studied statistics in your 12th or in your school, secondary school and all. So you must have studied about mean, median, mode, which is the very common and very easy to understand topic, which we say as measures of central tendency. So basically descriptive statistics can be measured by two methods. We have two methods of measuring descriptive statistics, and what are they? They are measures of central tendency and measures of variability. If we talk about measures of central tendency, again it is classified as mean, median and mode, right? So what is mean? Mean, we all know it is a measure of average of all the values in the sample. So whatever values it given in the sample, we need to calculate its average. So for calculating the average, what we normally do, we add all the numbers and we divide it by total value. That's the simple thing we can do for calculating average. That's the only thing we need to do for calculating the mean over here. So considering the example given in the table, I am having a list of cars with their MPG, cylinder and displacement. We have 5 type of cars with MPG and cylinder and displacement value. For calculating the mean of all these things, for example, if I need to calculate the mean of displacement, so what I will do, I'll add all the values of displacement divided by the total values, which is 5. So 160 plus 108 plus 160 plus 160 plus 150 divided by 5 will be equal to my mean. Okay. Coming on to the next topic, which is median. Median can be defined as a measure of the central value of the sample, right? So for calculating median, we whatever the sample value is given to us, we need to first arrange it in ascending order. After arranging it in ascending order, we will calculate the center value or the median value. Now how it is done? For example, the sample values are given to you, that is 5, 13, 9, 7, 1, 9, 2, 9 and 11. Now first we need to arrange it in ascending order. So what I have done, I have arranged it in ascending order. It will be 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 9, 9, 11, 13. Okay. Now I need to calculate or find the middle value. For calculating the middle value, I will skip same number of elements from right and from left side, from both the sides. So in this particular example, I had already skipped 4 elements, 1, 2, 5, 7 from left side and 9, 9, 11, 13 from right side. So 9 is the median value which we are getting. So in this particular example, we are getting 9 as the median value. But what happens, see, if you just cross check this particular list, you are having total number of elements as 9. Okay, 5, 13, 9, 7, 1, 9, 2, 9, 11. So total number of elements you are having is 9. 9 is an even number. So if 9 is an even number. So if we are basically if we have odd number of entries, or if we are working on an odd list, or vice versa, like for example, if I have given a number of even numbers, then it would be difficult, a list of even numbers, then it would be difficult for me to basically to calculate median. How? Because see, in case of odd numbers, it is easy to find the middle value, right? Like the same example, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 9, 9, 11, 13. So what I have done is, this is the list provided to you, and we have basically skipped equal number of values from left and right side. So since the list which is provided to you is the total number of elements is 9, so it was easy for you to divide it in equal parts. But in case if it is not easy, or if we need to divide it in unequal parts, then what we have to do? If I am getting 2 values as the center of the list, so if we basically have even number of entries, then we have to take 2 middle values, right? So if we need to take 2 middle values, then what we will do? We will take the average of the 2 values. Okay, so if I am having 9 and 9 as 2 median values, then I will take the average of 2 values, which will be my median. Coming on to the mode, the value that are most recurrent in the sample set is known as mode. So whatever value which is recurring or is frequently used, frequently occurring in your list is known as mode. Suppose we want to find a common type of cylinders used in most car. If we go back to the example, common type of cylinder is 64664. Right, so common type of cylinder is used as 6, because 6 has been used 3 times and 4 has been used 2 times. So the median, so the mode of the particular example or particular question will be 6, because 6 is occurring more as compared to 4. Coming on to the measures of spread. Measures of spread is sometimes called as measure of dispersion. Measures of spread can be measured by following method. We have different methods of for calculating measures of spread, that is range, interquartile range, variance and standard deviation. Starting with the range. Range is a given measure of how spread apart the values in the data set are. For range, we need to use the formula maximum of xi minus minimum of xi. Considering the example of ages of students, I have this list of students in which their ages are provided. So what I will do, I will for calculating the range, I will subtract the lowest value with the highest value. The highest value in the given list is 16. So 16 minus 13. It would be 16 minus 13, which is equal to 3. Coming on to interquartile range. Interquartile range is a measure of variability based on dividing a data set into quartiles. So what basically we need to do, we need to group them into quartiles. For grouping them into quartiles, I need to divide it into 25% categories. Like for example, I have a total number of elements I am having in this particular example is 8. For so 25% of 8 will be 2 elements. So in one group there will be 2 elements. Now for calculating the interquartile range, I need to calculate Q1, Q2, Q3, and then I need to calculate interquartile range by the formula Q3 minus Q1. Now how Q1 will be calculated? In Q1, as shown in figure, we have 2 elements 20 and 30. So I need to take their average, that is 20 plus 30 divided by 2, which will be equal to 50 divided by 2, which will be equal to 25. So in this way I am getting the value of quartile 1, that is 25. Similarly, Q2 can be calculated by 66 plus 44 divided by 2, which will be after calculation will get us 55. Now Q3 will be calculated in the similar manner, and for calculating interquartile range, I need to use the formula Q3 minus Q1, which is actually 62 the value of Q3 minus 25 the value of Q1. So it will be equal to 37. So IQR I am getting as 37. Coming on to variance. What variance is? Variance defines how much a random variable differs from its expected value. Variance is completely the square of the deviation. Okay, so this formula you need to mug up, or you just need to summarize, because you have to calculate variance in numerical portion. Deviation is the difference between each element from the mean. So what deviation tells us, it represents the data point minus the mean of the population. We need to calculate the mean, and that has to be subtracted from each of the values in the data points. Variance are again further classified as population variance and sample variance. What population variance tells us, it is the average of square deviation, where x is the data set, n is the number of samples in the data set, and mu is the mean of the population. The formula is given in the slide. You can easily identify it. The formula, basically it is showing that we need to take the average of the square deviation values. Sample variance is nothing but it is the average of square differences from the mean. Now this is the basic difference. It is taking the average of the square deviation, and sample variance is calculating the average of the square differences from the mean. So first we need to calculate the square differences from the mean. Differences from the mean, we need to square it, and then we need to take the average. So according to it, this formula is set where xi is representing the data sample and x is representing the mean, as we all know. N is the total number of data points in the sample. Coming on to the standard deviation, a very important point, because the numericals are totally based on standard deviation concept, and we need to execute, or we need to calculate the value of standard deviation, which says it is a measure of dispersion of a set of data from its mean. So how much the data has been dispersed from the mean, that basically tells the standard deviation, which is given by the formula rho equal to under root of summation of x minus mean square upon n. X is the set of numbers, as we all know. Mean is the average, we all know. N is the size of the set, and rho is the symbol or the number used for representing standard deviation. Now considering the example, we have a data set of 20 elements as shown in figure. We need to calculate the standard deviation. Simple, as we need to calculate the standard deviation. First I would be knowing the value of mean, then I need to calculate x minus mean, then I need to square it, and then I would be able to get the value of standard deviation. So for calculating the mean, we have the formula sum of all the data plus total data sets. So we will what we will do, we will add all the data sets, that is 9 plus 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 12 plus 7 and so on, divided by total elements. Total elements we have 20. So it would be mean equal to 7. After calculating, you can calculate by your own and just check it whether you are getting these values or not. Mean equal to 7 you must get. Now what we need to do, we need to do x minus mean, the whole square. X is the number of data elements. So first element is 9. So what I have done, 9 minus 7, since the value of mean is 7. 9 minus 7 the whole square equal to 2 whole square equal to 4. Similarly, 2 minus 7 the whole square equal to minus 5 the whole square equal to 25, because the 2 is the second value in the list. The third value in the list is again 5. We need to do 5 minus 7 the whole square and so on. In this way we would be calculating all the values x minus mean one by one by selecting each element from the list, and then we would be calculating standard deviation. That is, we would add all the values. Okay, we would add all the values which we are getting divided by 20. Why 20? Because n is the total number of elements, and the value of total number of elements in our list is 20. So we will be dividing it by 20. Whatever value we are getting, that we will of that value we will take under root, because standard deviation is basically represents the under root value. So whatever value you are getting, you have to take its under root value, which is equal to 2.983. I want all of you guys to please execute this particular numerical one by one in each and every step, so that it would make it more clear to you how it is executing and how you are getting these values. So that's all for today's lecture. I hope all the concepts must have been delivered to you properly and must be clear to you. See you with our next lecture continuing the same topic of our first unit. Thank you.